You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
You will be faster than they are. Stronger. Quicker to sense corruption. And with full sanction to destroy it.
Welcome, everyone, to the Cult of Lore. Today is Chapter 1 of Leman Russ, Primarch of the Imperium. I'm Eric.
I'm Ben. I'm Dan.
And I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah, you're very formal with that opening. Primarch of the Imperium.
I don't think he'd approve. He'd tell you to relax a little.
I
you're
think
right.
he'd tell you to remove the stick.
Get the stick out of my ass and start playing fetch with it or something.
No, I heard there's some meat around here. He would really enjoy that.
So Leman was introduced to me by Ben when Ben started getting into Warhammer in an attempt to get me interested in Warhammer.
It is how I got him into it.
And
Eric's very much into Norse mythology.
Yes,
and
yes.
You were well before I ever met you.
Right.
And so as soon as I found these guys, I was like, there's my way in.
There we go.
Yeah, all the rune priests and the...
I mean, everything.
A lot of axes. Yeah.
Their names, their approaches. In one of the books, they talk about how they very much refer to their ships as boats.
Yeah.
I mean, even their planet is just the Arctic.
It is.
Scandinavia plus the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very Viking-ish, but there is more to them than that, of course.
Absolutely.
And we'll see more of that as we go along. And so I guess it's time to get us into Leman Russ.
And which legion what was the number of his?
He was the sixth Legion.
Sixth Legion, the Space Wolves.
Great. Yeah.
Which they actually didn't care for that name.
Yeah, and I just learned that from you.
Yeah, they actually don't like being called the Space Wolves.
Yeah.
They prefer the Volca Fenrica.
And I can see why. It's very cool sounding. And Space Wolves could be kind of, I don't know, maybe a little demeaning in a way that like we kind of...
Well, it's interesting. He was the second Primarch found after Horus.
Correct.
So he was the Space Wolves kind of after the Luna Wolves.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it is they don't like the association with being part of this. Well, then became the Sons of Horus.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Which it seems both parties didn't really like that association.
No, Horus was actually pretty upset. He was pretty butthurt that they took. They took the Space Wolves.
Yeah, but the Space Wolves.
I mean,
I think they've got a better claim.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you got to break it down into who is going to take the wolf name, then it cannot be the Sons of Horus.
Yeah.
They have absolutely nothing to do with wolves, especially next to the Volca.
Yeah.
Well, Horus just likes to wear one.
Yeah. He just wears the skin.
Well, it's just because he can't get the toupee quite over the top of his head.
No, but for Leman, wolf is family.
Yes, very much so. Ooh, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about that because that's cool. Leman Russ was raised by wolves.
He was. He was stolen from the Emperor's laboratory while he was still in his gestation capsule, which is the exact same thing that happened to all of the Primarchs, for the exception of maybe one.
Oh.
Omegon is possibly, maybe, hypothetically,
really
was the only one that was raised solely by the Emperor of Mankind. However, that's not confirmed.
Okay.
Nothing about the Alpha Legion. I don't know why I even bothered to fucking say that. That just instantly pissed me off. God damn you, Alpha Legion.
Somebody will bring it up if you don't say it.
Right. Yeah.
I know, but like Christ, I actually really enjoy the Alpha Legion, but they make my brain hurt. Fuck. Anyway, so he lands on, and they cast him out into this planet known as Fenris. And as Dan said, Fenris is a ball of ice.
It is an icy death world.
Yep.
Icy Death World.
It is a shit planet with nothing to go from as far as flora, but it's got a fuck ton of fauna, and all of it wants to kill you.
Yeah. Like massive, like mammoth-like creatures.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually I can't remember what they're called.
I think it's just the Fenrisian Mammoth.
They actually have they have
a name.
and in the Burning of Prospero, they're actually referred to quite a bit.
Oh, no kidding. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you find out these things have fucking foul tempers.
Yikes. And they're big.
Yeah, like in our planet, for the exception of say a moose, because moose are assholes, big herbivores tend to run.
Or
These-
at least be chill.
Yeah, these things attack on sight. Like they suck.
Yikes.
So everything wants to kill you.
That sucks. They also have Kraken.
Yep.
Is that Kraken as we know
So
it, more or less?
More or less.
Yeah,
They're
I was gonna
giant
say
sea
that I don't
monsters.
know.
Cool.
But yes.
It's kind of. I haven't seen too much of a description. The drawing I saw was pretty much straight out of.
But that makes
giant
sense.
octopus with big teeth.
Okay.
But that makes sense
There we
because the Kraken was,
Yep. A Norse monster.
Yep.
Yep.
and of course, Fenrisian Wolves.
Yes.
I think they're also called Thunderwolves.
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 I have heard that name for them
Yeah.
too. Yep. And they're great big white pelted
Dire
monstrous
wolves. Yeah, they make the wolves in Game of Thrones look like punk bitches.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And they just even look more ferocious. Their look reminds me a little bit more of like the Lord of the Rings depiction of wargs.
Yeah, they
know what I
almost
mean?
have.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
with her, yeah,
Right.
They almost have a lion wolfish appearance.
Yeah.
not a standard wolf.
No.
Right. Yeah. There's something very
No.
big about their jaws in comparison to the rest of them.
Correct. But anyway, there was a hunting party
Yes.
that was tracking these wolves and was hunting them for their pelts when they were set upon and slaughtered, not quite to a man, but pretty damn close by a baby.
Yep. A ferocious baby defending his mother.
Now, Dan, me and Eric covered this when we covered Conrad Kurz a little while back. But when they talk about Primarchs and how Primarchs grow, right? They say that by the time they're a year old, they're the size of a full-grown man.
Yeah.
Which tells me that they're not big babies. They're standard-sized babies doing this shit.
Yeah.
So imagine like a baby just lunging itself at these ice warriors and just slaughtering the shit out of them.
I picture something like more like a toddler, like an extra sized toddler, not like full baby. Like he's got to be able to grip things.
Does he?
He's gonna have a lot of calluses at least.
Either way, it kind of reminds me of the killer rabbit from Monty Python.
Yes.
Leaping around, just run away! Ah!
So the warriors killed the mother
Yep.
and most of the pups except
Yep.
for two.
Two. And it actually took them a couple of minutes to figure out that it wasn't another wolf attacking them, but it was a baby.
They were like, "What
Baby
the shit?"
toddler.
And then when they realized it was a human, they decided they were going to take him in. And it sounds like they then tried to incapacitate him to do that.
Right.
Well, I also think Leman was starting to recognize that
Yes.
these
Oh.
things are more like me than the wolves.
than
Right.
the wolves. But
That
he
makes
did. But the
sense.
two pups that survived that slaughtering then became his lifelong companions known as Gary and Frecky.
Gary and Frecky.
Of course, they're named Gary and Frecky because
Yes, because
you
Norse
know,
mythology.
Norse mythology, which that's not a downplay.
No,
It's
not
what
at
got
all.
Eric into it.
Yes. So, and if you don't know, Gary and Frecky are it's directly pulled from Norse mythology. They're Odin's two wolves, same names, bearing the same names, basically meaning greed and gluttony in Norse. I don't know what it translates
With
to.
the
if
legit,
it
with the
does.
straight. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway,
But so these are basically his brothers, which I thought was a neat,
yes.
point, because he was raised right alongside him.
Yeah.
So he's not just looking at these two guys like they're, just his
They're not pets.
No.
So the warriors brought Leman and the wolves
Right.
to their king, Thingir of the Rus.
Thingir
Ah.
Rus.
Yeah.
Russ.
Ooh.
And he named this child Leman
Of the Russ.
Yeah.
Russ.
So-
Leman of the
so
Russ. We say
it-
Leman Russ. I keep
So
We
it,
do.
it depends. It depends on who's writing it. It seems like I've heard it pronounced Rus, but most of the time it's Russ.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have heard Rus before.
Yeah. And I think
That's also like a historical name,
right.
pre-Russia.
Oh, is that, yeah, that's right. That's right. And they were pretty tied into Germanic.
They
Culture,
came right
actually.
out of Scandinavian Vikings. They
Oh,
said.
yeah.
So there you go.
So, yeah. That ties it right in. There we go. The parallels will continue to abound.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
no doubt.
So the king saw promise in this boy.
Naturally.
Yeah.
And he trained him in the arts of war and poetry and literature.
And of course, because he's a Primarch, he excelled at that beyond anybody's wildest fucking dreams.
Yeah.
Gypsy, mind your own business. Anyway, she says no.
He got trained, and when the king inevitably got old and died, it passed on to him.
Yeah, everybody was like, well, of course. I mean, by that time, he was well above the size of an average man, or even a large man, probably.
He was known to uproot trees with his bare hands.
Yeah, so I mean, like, are you
wrestle
gonna
these mammoths we've been talking about?
Oh my God. Wrestle it?
Yeah. So I mean, like, are you gonna vote again? You can be like, nah, not this guy.
Wrestle it and like roast it for a meal.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being the guy that's trying to run against him? No, you should. I'm clearly the better guy. Sorta.
Kinda.
Maybe. Nah. I got nothing.
Doesn't even have brains over him because
No,
he's a Primarch.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not even a fucking little bit.
Then he goes on to lead that tribe into ruling Fenris.
Yeah, through some fair combat and some just basic diplomacy.
A lot of surrendering.
Yeah, he becomes the Wolf King of the whole planet.
The Wolf King of Fenris.
And he's pretty just king, really.
Yeah.
He's not a tyrant.
I don't know much about his rule during that time, but I imagine
he's
I
well
could
loved.
imagine.
Yeah.
And word of him spreads out beyond the planet.
And that's what gets the Emperor into looking in that direction.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if it was just like a psychic signal because they're not, or just scouts
Or if it was
landing
like-
on the planet.
Yeah.
Spy satellites.
It seemed to me it was kind of like scouts and news, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I think they went into the system next to Fenris and they're like, oh, by the way, oh, you guys are like scouting the stars. Have you guys heard about this weird motherfucker on the planet next door?
Yeah. So the Emperor goes to the King's Hall
Yep. While they're just sitting there partying and having a good time.
and he challenges the king to 3 contests of his choice.
Yep. And
All he asks is if he wins, he can sit by the king's side at the feast.
if he loses, he serves Russ for a year.
That's a heck of a bargain. Okay.
So
for a
Russ
deal.
challenges him to a drinking contest, an eating contest, and a fight.
Ooh.
And the fight comes last, and it's kind of sequential. So it's eating, then drinking, and Leman wins both of those.
Yes.
He
Beats the Emperor at him.
out eats him, out drinks him, and then the Emperor gets up and says, "Well, what are you, a fucking glutton and a drunk? Is that all you can do? Is this all you are?"
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the Emperor goads Leman into a fight.
Oh.
And then beats him,
Beats the fucking brakes off of him.
knocks him unconscious with the power glove.
Just one hit. Like Leman describes it as seeing like a flash of golden light, recognizing that he had made a mistake, and then lights out.
Oh, my God.
Woke up with a broken tooth, blood in his mouth, and a smile.
And he immediately knelt and pledged his loyalty to the Emperor of Mankind.
Wow. Well, that's how you get his respect. That's for sure.
And, it changes with Primarchs how quickly they can control their legions. For Leman, it was just a few weeks.
Yeah, it was very quick.
And
Really?
he trained with the Emperor, and then he actually trained with Malkador the Sigillite.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually a really cool scene right before he takes control of his legion where him and Horus are kind of having a talk. And Russ is just now figuring out Low Gothic, and he's trying to have this conversation with Horus. And he's like, we are brothers, and just trying to figure it out. And Horus is actually kind of pretty snooty about it.
Oh.
And Russ challenges him. He's like, well, we'll fight. And Horus is like, we don't fight. We're brothers. He's like, what are you talking about? That's what we do. And what was cool about it is like towards the end of it, as Horus is giving him some shit, Russ kind of makes a comment about being smarter than he looks. And it really does kind of play on the fact that Russ might be even including fucking up his own speech to make himself sound more dumb than he is.
Yeah.
Which becomes a running theme with Leman.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. I never thought about him starting it that far back.
Playing it into
Yeah.
the stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He recognized pretty early on how people viewed him. But what they always, and I was talking to Eric about this earlier, it's like what all the Primarchs, and probably not all of them, I'm sure there was a few that understood. I bet Sanguinius did. Guy was damn near perfect. But none of them really seemed to, hey, don't you blaspheme around here.
Praising the Sanguinor.
You should. You should. But they all seem to lose sight of the fact that he is a Primarch who's just as intelligent as they are. Like, it's not like the intelligence varies between them. They all are pretty much the exact same intelligence level, just in different areas.
I think they and probably others kind of, the fans tend to rank the intelligences as different categories. And they might put Leman way down there.
Well,
with,
sure.
Like Angron.
Well, that depends on, so it depends on what you're dealing with, because Russ and the Wolves in general, they take a large amount of pride in doing a shit ton of research before they go and fight somebody. Like, they put in a lot of study beforehand so that they don't have to once they hit the field.
Yeah, they can just...
Are they the ones with, I can't remember. The usual pattern is sending in scouts that are recruits. It's how they get their training.
Oh.
I can't remember which chapter, which legion. They use their veterans instead. They only send their veterans in as scouts. And I'm pretty sure it's the Space Wolves.
I don't know.
No kidding.
That sounds like a Raven Guard shit to me.
Yeah, and multiple ones could do this, but I heard that specific.
But
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not real sure. But either way, they are able to afford themselves a very stupid style of war because of how much pre-work they do beforehand.
Is that right?
But
Yeah.
they also don't really care if people know this. Like, they're not secretive by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
They're not Dark Angels, but
Yeah.
they really don't care to tell people either.
Right. They're not going to go out of the... Yeah, and I saw that because I've only read one book now about the space wolves, but that was one thing I noticed is, like, they're not always going to go out of their way to give you that information. It's not a secret. They're just like, you don't know yet? Ha!
Yeah.
Ha ha!
They don't have to be fair, but they don't have to be tricky either.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They the kind of thing is like, well, why didn't you tell me this? And somebody goes, well, you never asked. That is them, but they actually mean it.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't intend to lie to you. It's just, if you don't ask, they're not going to fucking tell you.
Yeah.
They're not telling everybody about the Canis Helix.
Well,
That is the specific genome of the Space Wolves.
That's what makes them Wolfian. But the
Yeah.
side effect of it is every once in a while, one of them goes full moon.
The Wolfen.
The Wolfen. And I mean, but good God, it can be effective. There was that one scene in the Leman Russ book, if you remember, where they unhook that Wolfen guy and send him at the enemy, and he just goes like ham.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, these guys, they're not Space Marines because it's before the heresy, but they're able to fight a Marine one-on-one relatively easy.
Yeah.
And this thing is slaughtering them by like the 3s and 4s.
Yeah. And what a Wolfen basically is, I mean, Ben said they go full moon, and he says that for a reason, because it's basically a Space Marine turning into a werewolf. Yeah.
Only there's no, they don't go
They don't
back.
come back. Yeah.
And Space Marine's already superhuman. I
Right.
don't think they're getting too much of a power boost, but they're just getting wild.
Yeah, they're losing all of their restraint.
No, I don't know. They get something different,
Yeah.
because the way they were describing it in the book, like, his thing was just
It was an absolute slaughter.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Well, just pure berserker rage.
maybe.
Yeah.
But what? And then it gets even crazier, because they'll actually take a Wolfen and put it into a fucking Dreadnought.
Oh.
Wouldn't that thing just try to run on all fours and try to bite people?
It's just fucking and I don't know that we've actually covered Dreadnoughts before. So what is a Dreadnought? A Dreadnought is when a Space Marine has suffered catastrophic damage and cannot be healed, but they are too talented, too skilled, they're too old and have too much experience to really let die. So they stick them in this giant mech thing that in the center of it is a sarcophagus that is basically a life support system.
Yep. They're trapped in that, and then they get full control of the robot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they go into hibernation when they're not in use to save wear and tear on their bodies, literally. And then they're thawed out and awoken when it's time for war, sometimes for their council, because they're old and
They can present that
a lot of perspective,
experience, knowledge.
things
Yeah.
like that.
There's one really important one in the Space Wolves. He's not a Wolfen, but he's a Dreadnought. Is it? It's Fafnir or Finninger?
Hey guys, Future Eric here. The
God.
Dreadnought's name is...
Damn it, that's gonna piss me off. I can't believe I can't remember that.
We'll have that on the screen right here.
What?
I just put some work on Eric.
How'd you do that?
Maybe he'll just cut it in and say fuck
Try-
you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Just put in Space Wolf Dreadnought, you'll find it.
Fine.
But they wake him up every 1,000 years to tell the story of, like, the last time the Well, I'm kind of skipping ahead. He tells a story. We'll get back to
Yeah,
that.
it's all right. But he was actually thawed out not too long ago because the Inquisition came to Fenris to kind of do a little talking because the wolves and the Inquisition had and are currently having a little bit of a tiff.
Past Eric, the audience already knows, but could you tell them the Dreadnought's name is Bjorn? Bjorn?
Bjorn the Fell-Handed.
There we go.
There it is. Oh, damn it. I can't believe I couldn't think
I
of
know
that.
you were just talking about him not too long before we recorded.
Yeah, Bjorn the Fell-Handed.
Yep.
So anyway, they have this wolfen problem, and they can stick them in these giant dreadnought things, which just causes insanity on the battlefield. Just pure insanity. But anyway, so Leman, going back to Leman takes control of his legion,
Sixth Legion.
the 6th Legion, and he names them the Space Wolves. And he describes them as the quote you heard earlier.
Yes. Yep. That pretty much sums it up quite nicely in very few words, which is kind of on par for Russ. He's very to the point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're a notable legion. They have a lot of victories under their belts. One of them leads to them having a special sanctuary built called the Fang. It's built on Fenris.
Becomes their. They actually have another. Oh my god, my memory is so bad. They have another name for it. The Firth.
I'm sure they do.
Something like that.
I can't think of it right now.
But they have a specific name for it.
So the Emperor kind of
on the screen
starts using Leman and his legion for specific jobs.
Yep.
And one of the big ones that starts this is the Night of the Wolf.
The Night of the Wolf.
Yeah. The World Eaters have been wiping out planets, like in total populations.
Yeah.
And no bueno.
Yeah.
This is when Leman decided to go talk to Angron.
Yeah. He's sent by the Emperor to get him to stop using the butcher's nail.
And this was actually this is a good way of showing how intelligent Leman is. The way he handles this confrontation is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Well, they stood out like facing each other with their armies behind them, and he's just trying to talk his brother down. And I'm not sure. No one's sure who the first shot came from.
It was
Gotcha.
It was Angron. Had to be.
But it led to them fighting. And I think the fight was inconclusive.
So I think Leman chose to lose that fight because the whole time that Angron is just driving in at Leman keeps giving him ground. And the World Eaters are following Angron like this into a very tight pattern. And while that's happening, the wolves are spreading out around them.
So
I actually think that was an intentional maneuver on Leman.
Ooh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. That makes sense. It's kind of a pincer move almost.
Yep.
I've seen battles like that where you fall back in the middle and then suddenly they find they have enemies on both sides of them.
Correct.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he's not able to convince Angron to give up the butcher's nails.
No, he even tells him, he's like, look, you're so angry and your legion is so full of rage. You're charging headlong at me and you may kill me. You might. He's like, but look behind you. Your sons are getting slaughtered and they have no idea.
Wow. Now, have we covered butcher's nails yet?
Yeah. Episode 0, I believe we go, or episode 1, when we go through. Nope. I'll take that back again. Imperium Volume 2 is when we go through the traitor Primarchs.
Okay, there we go. Oh, yes, that's right. We did. Yep. Okay.
But yeah,
so
they're crazy with rage and they don't think straight.
Right.
Yeah.
But to Angron's, just give him a wee bit of credit, just a small bit of credit. He does actually cease fighting him and ends the fight.
Once he sees the position he's been pulled into.
Yeah. He's not completely lost yet at that point. But he's
clever
close.
wolves, though.
Yeah. And sometime during this era, we believe the Space Wolves might have taken out 2 of the other legions.
Yeah, it's unconfirmed. They've always had these.
Of course, it's unconfirmed.
2 unnamed Primarchs.
And
the
it's
2 mystery legions.
And it's hinted heavily that the wolves were behind that. The reason why we don't know, of course, or even if they had, but
yeah, they
do hint heavily at that somewhere along the Great Crusade.
Yeah.
He had to take out 2 of
those actions, his work here. He's gaining this reputation. He's being known as the Emperor's Executioner.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it's a title that they wear with I won't say pride, but it is one that they wear with responsibility.
That makes sense
for them. It's a source. It's somewhere between pride and burden.
It's a job that they don't seem to relish,
No,
but they don't back down from
no,
it.
they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They stick to their word. Here's another one that kind of shows the interaction between the Space Wolves and the Dark Angels.
Uh-huh.
So they were taken on a planet, and the governor was rebelling, and he said,
Yep, screw the Imperium.
yeah, couldn't get that out. And Leman said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fucking kill you. And after this campaign, he kicks in the door, and the first and last thing he sees is Lionel Johnson taking this guy's head off.
Yeah.
And he had made Lionel promise to save him for him.
Yeah.
That was such a cool.
He's like, no. So he starts fighting him. They duel for days.
Which I didn't realize. So I read in the book they did this fight, and I didn't realize how long that fight was.
Yeah.
And it's Leman who realizes how stupid this is.
Yeah.
And once again, I argue that there's a time in that book where, at least in Leman's mind, he could have won and chose not to, and that's when he starts laughing.
Yeah.
So they're really the only times that I know of Leman losing a fight is when he chooses to, except for the one with Horus. But once again, he didn't really lose that fight. But we'll get there.
So Lionel took the opportunity and knocked him out.
Yep.
And
That bitch.
and then they left. He didn't even wait for him to wake up. He
No,
left.
just
He's
decked
such a
him and
dick.
fucked off.
So now,
Yeah.
whenever Dark Angels and Space Wolves meet, they have to elect a champion.
They have to have an honor duel.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Just every time. They're
Every
like, all
time.
right, your champion, our champion, go. Now what are we meeting about?
Yes.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was, boy, like I understand why the lion didn't wait for Russ, but he should have known better.
Yeah. What gets me is like I understand the need to act when you have the opportunity, but he ended up having like that the
Governor,
human in his
yeah.
governor, whatever, in his hands. Like he was in control of this guy. He could have taken him prisoner, he could have done anything, and he just lobs his head off
Yeah.
without waiting. It's like you knew better, man. You really did, Snoot. He's such a
I really do think he's on the spectrum.
Oh,
yeah, I could see that. He
there's
is
a really funny
finicky as fuck.
there's a really funny scene in that story where so the whole thing gets kicked off because the wolves accidentally blow up a ship that's got a bunch of dark angels on it.
Yeah.
And like Lionel gets all pissed, rightfully so, and Leman's like, I will come apologize to you personally.
Yeah.
And while this is happening, the Space Wolves and Dark Angels start shooting at each other. Mainly because the Dark Angels start shooting first, but that's because the Space Wolves did the whoopsie.
Yeah.
So Leman comes up to Johnson, apologizes, like gives him a real sincere apology
Yeah.
And
Out in front of it for everyone to
for
hear.
everybody to
Yep,
hear. And he
yep.
means every ounce of it.
Yeah.
And he comes up and hugs him and just real quietly leans in. He's like, but if you ever shoot at my sons again, I'm going to fucking kill you. Do you understand me? It's like, Jesus, Leman.
Just kept it real quiet so that
Yeah.
he wouldn't damage Lionel's pride or
Nope,
anything like
none
that.
whatsoever. But he's just like, listen, fucker.
Yeah. Well, he
I love it.
he had the respect of a lot of the other Primarchs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Not all of them, and a lot of people saw them as just straight up savages. But yeah, he did have. They had a lot of respect for him.
And to be fair, he did not respect all the Primarchs either.
Right? Yeah, I can
He
see
hated
that.
Magnus.
Oh yeah.
Well, he hated Psychers
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Did not trust magic.
Yeah.
Sorcery.
at all.
Yeah.
And that's part of the Fenrisian background. They don't like magicians.
Yeah. Which can we touch on that? That was the stories that they tell each other. You had
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
this
So
to me. I
a
thought
little
that was
bit of
cool.
Fenris. Oh, yeah. So a little bit of Fenrisian culture is all of they actually don't even like writing. The Fenrisians and the Wolves don't. All of their history is vocalized and remembered.
Yeah, oral history.
It's all oral. And so one of their favorite pastimes when the wolves aren't ripping the throats out of things is they like to sit by the fire, get drunk as fuck, play board games, and tell stories.
Yep.
And so in this one book, Prospero Burns, we'll put a picture of it up because I don't remember what the author's name is.
It'll be up there. Yeah.
I bet it's Greg Abbott or Guy Haley.
There we go. Take
Probably one of those two, my guess. But anyway, this historian is there when the last space wolf born on Terra dies. And he gets to sit with him when he passes away. And it's really cool scene because he actually finds out. Like the space wolves tell him, like, sit here and comfort him in his last moments. And then later he finds out that it was actually that space wolf was just staying alive long enough to keep him safe. And then
Until the others got back.
And as soon as reinforcements show up, he lets go and dies.
Wow.
So it's actually a really cool scene.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, they're getting ready for like his burial ceremony, and all of these wolves start coming up to this historian. They're like, "It's your job to tell stories, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, good. We like that." So they start telling him all these stories, and he has to memorize each story to tell at the festival, which is like his burial.
Yeah.
It's 437 stories, and it takes him days. He has to take like 5-hour breaks to go nap.
Yeah. Jesus.
While they're just drinking and carrying on the whole time.
And what I loved about this was, like, because they like to tell scary stories.
Yes.
And I asked Ben, I'm like, what the fuck is going to scare a space wolf?
Magic.
Yep. I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, their favorite
Yeah.
stories to hear are ones that actually scare them. And the thing that scares them is Maleficarum magic.
There we go. Yep. Thanks for that sidebar.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you.
no,
I got excited about that. It's like, it's such a good insight into their mind. Because,
Right. Well, one thing to kind of understand about Fenrisian history and the way they kind of do things is because their world is so shitty and because it's so hard to survive, it really holds to a sense of community. And so that makes brotherhood and bonds of kinship and stuff like really strong. So when you throw that into, the Astartes, it gets pretty tough.
Yeah.
Wolfpack joke. At least I didn't go even lower.
Oh, there's a word that I figure will be mentioned on this pod. I'm not going to mention it because you do it to yourself. But I'm expecting it to come. Where the?
Grabbing my drink while I'm laughing.
Oh my God, Jesus! Some etiquette we've got here. But anyway, that's what makes the Space Wolves so tight and bondship is the Fenrisian background of just such a shitty world, which is interesting because you don't see that with other Death World like the Death Guard. They don't really have a sense of kinship. They more take it as we're just tough.
No, they have a life debt to their planet,
right?
But they're vat babies with like the bodies of 20-year-olds and the brains of 3-year-olds.
No,
God. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the Death Guard. They're a lot of fun though.
That'll be a different episode.
That will be
a different episode.
But anyway, so the Great Crusade is kicking off, and that leads us to the Council or the Trial of Nicaea, the Council of Nicaea.
Council of Nicaea.
Council of Nicaea. That's right. And like the Thousand Sons, Magnus the Red, have just been psychering the hell out of everything and going further and further and further. And we're going to do a deep dive on them. They're actually a really sad story. I feel bad for Magnus, but at the end of the day, he was a cocky prick, got what he deserved.
Oh no.
Hashtag Magnus did everything wrong. Like, I don't
know.
Like, people are like, he didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, he absolutely did things wrong. Are you kidding? Nobody gets out of this shit guard without mistakes, for the exception of Vulcan.
Yeah.
He's the only Primarch that like didn't fuck up. Maybe, well, that's not true. I'm sorry, all you Iron Hand fans.
Uh-oh.
Ferrous Manus didn't do anything wrong either. He didn't live long enough to do it.
Oh, God. I feel like we're getting so controversial.
I mean, it's true, though. He did. The guy's like, hey, guys, it's time to do stuff. Dead. You're like, well, okay, moving on.
The tragedy is he could never implement his changes that he wanted to apply to his legion.
Yeah, he would. Ferrous Manus, the Primarch of the Iron Hands, his story is the unfulfilled potential story. So you have to kill him off early. Like,
okay,
he was very much not anti-war, but he was pro end of war.
Oh wow, yeah. I guess you can't have that in the grim darkness of the 40K universe.
But anyway, Leman's amongst a few other ones, including the bitch Martarian, who is really protesting Psychers and really causing problems and making us think about it, which then leads to the Council of Nicaea, which is a big to-do with all the heavy hitters, Malkador the Sigillite, a bunch of the Primarchs. I actually bet probably all of the Primarchs were there. We just don't know that.
Okay.
Because we actually don't have a full guest list.
Oh, interesting.
And-
okay.
One to leave vague.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And we also don't know what every Primarch's opinion was.
Huh.
Total ban, partial ban.
Right. Like, we don't know what Vulcan's opinion was, which is interesting. I would really like to know. I bet he was middle. Like, I bet he was like, it can be done.
Yeah.
I would bet. I have a hard time believing that he would be a hard.
I'm trying to think. Did the Emperor need? I don't think he needed any help lighting the Astronomicon.
No.
Without people. So
No.
they weren't sacrificing Psykers left and right.
Right.
No. And also, I believe it's either known, like actually known, or people really believe that Magnus was supposed to take the seat on that throne.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yes. Right.
And
Because
he was,
had the-
yeah, but the idea was that all the seals and stuff would not have been broken. So it wouldn't have been some sort of hell like what the
yeah,
Emperor is
it
trapped
wouldn't
in.
be like what it would
Magnus
be.
would be able to go wherever the hell he wanted.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because he'd have his mind intact and his
Yeah,
psychic ability.
correct.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have to spend all of his energy fighting back the forces of hell to keep
Right.
them from flooding in through the palace. But also, guess who fucked that up? Magnus. Anyway,
Oh man.
So yeah, they had this Council of Nicaea.
Yep.
No more magic.
none. Zip, zero, zilch. Complete ban. Librarians, who are a librarian is just a space marine magician. They were to cease all use of their psychic powers and resume rank and file as normal Marines, which I have to say, you know what? The Council of Nicaea, for all of the Emperor, for all the praise that I give the Emperor, perhaps unjustly sometimes, this really was a fuck up. I don't know how he expected the Thousand Sons to operate under these conditions.
Right.
That was their whole lean.
It was
Everything
like that
focused on.
makes them completely ineffectual.
Yeah. Why would they go for that?
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. And I don't know why he thought they would.
Yeah. Just blind obedience, I guess.
He could have just said, "Hey, all the psychic guys who want to help me with this project,
Yeah.
let's go home and work on this project."
He could have done. I mean, he literally could have done anything. The only thing I can think of is that because he knew what was out there, he thought that Magnus was getting too close, and he panicked.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone had been contacted by the gods yet.
Right.
Signs of them. There's magic fuckery, but
Right. So the only thing I can think of is that, in a blind kind of just panic, he's like, "Nope, shut it down, shut it off."
well, I'd say except for Erebus. Erebus was probably already up to his eyeballs in
Oh.
chaos. But
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting rammed from behind from the get go.
Good Lord.
No, he was like that dude was. He was bending over, he was grabbing his ankles for the Chaos Gods before he was even a space marine.
but before he
Oh.
found Logar,
Wow.
he's like, "Oh boy, look at this little magic child! I can raise him in my religion."
That guy, that's what, you know what I like about Erebus though, is how much people hate him.
Fuck Erebus.
Fuck Erebus.
Oh my God. So Grima Wormtongue, you know,
That's who I'm thinking of.
that slimy whisper in the ear that
Yeah.
you're like, I always love when they get their comeuppance. He never does.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Somehow he's even balder and smugger than Horus.
No.
Yes. Oh my God. He actually, he's got the fucking pear on him to look Horus in the face during the Horus heresy and accuse Horus of fucking up his plans
Oh,
after he fucks up Horus's plans, like in a big way.
wow.
And he stands there like face to face with him, like, "You idiot."
Oh my God.
And he worms his way out of that too.
He thinks he's the chosen one.
Oh,
And he never gets his
the
comeuppance.
audacity on him. I admire.
And he's just a puppet dancing on their strings.
Yeah, for the Chaos Gods.
Yeah, but he's truly he's way more dangerous than Logar ever thought about being.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the real snake in the grass.
I mean, because Logar was willing and ready to worship the Emperor.
yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Never in the plans for Erebus.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And I argue that he probably corrupted Corferon as well, or at least tipped him over the edge.
Yeah, that's another. That's 1,000 Sons, right?
No, that's the word bearers.
He's a word bearer.
He was Logar's adopted father.
Yes, yeah. It wasn't Erebus. Erebus was like his priest.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was the priest.
Yeah.
But, so I can't remember where we went with that.
Burning a Prospero. is what we're
Okay.
getting to.
Oh, okay.
So we should maybe talk about the 1,000 Sons planet.
Right. So
okay.
Prospero is actually a pretty boss ass looking planet. It's
It has these like super pyramids, like
made out of crystal.
kind of like Blade Runner pyramids.
Yeah, they're made out of crystal. They've got gold on the corners. It's kind of holding them all together.
Okay, I have seen images. The
Yes,
audience probably will too.
It is the background for the quintessential Leman Russ picture.
Yeah.
Which is him with Gary and Frecky. You got the Sisters of Silence behind him, and that is them just setting torch to Prospero.
Oof.
Yeah. So he was on his way over from the words of the Emperor. Emperor's like, you got to put a shutdown on Magnus.
Yep. Despite the ruling of Nikeia, Magnus not only didn't obey, but he sent a message to the Emperor trying to warn them of Horus's betrayal. I'll grant you. But he broke every seal that protected the palace and caused basically like a nuclear bomb to go off and opened the door to the hellish webway in the middle of the palace.
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big fuck up.
That's a giant fuck up.
Ruined the webway that the Emperor was trying to make for mankind.
Right. That would have just basically they would have been able to travel freely.
It would have completely sidestepped the warp.
Yeah. Sidestepped everything and would have been able to go faster than light without repercussion.
And
really.
it would have been completely accurate.
Yeah.
It'd have been unmatched with what the Eldar were capable of doing.
Wow.
Which you could almost say they weren't. That might have been Old One's tech. Because they can't repair the webway now.
Right.
Oh,
So it was close to that level. And
Wow.
Magnus fucks it all up for a really good reason, but he fucks it all up.
yeah.
Which then causes the Emperor to tell Leman, go get him, bring him back here for judgment.
And Horus intercepts on the way.
That bald motherfucker.
And he's like, Space Dad said, take him out.
Yep. He's like, Dad couldn't get a hold of you because you were traveling through the warp, but he's changed it from a capture to a kill.
Oh, God.
And you take your Space Wolves and your Sisters of Silence. Because he had a group of them with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
They go everywhere with them.
See, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how closely tied they were to this.
Because the wolves are going up against the Astartes, they almost always have a group of Sisters of Silence with them.
Oh, wow.
But in this particular instance, what they were doing was there to shield Leman Russ's presence from Magnus.
Ah, so he wouldn't see him coming.
So they wouldn't know that they were
Okay.
getting the whole hog.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So Lehman's got a presumed change of orders now.
Yep. And and sure enough, they bombard Prospero. Complete censure. The wolves go in force. Drop pods are raining down from the sky. The Sisters of Silence are there, completely nullifying their psychic powers. And Magnus surrenders.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
He doesn't give any sort of resistance.
Nope.
He
He
doesn't
gives
fight.
up. But his sons, the 1,000 sons, they refuse. They're like, we're not going to be slaughtered like cattle. So they go out and fight. And eventually enough of them die that Magnus feels like he has to step in. He can't let all of his sons be killed.
Yeah.
And then he dies.
Well,
Sort of.
he fights Leman.
Yep.
Leman breaks his back over his knee.
Bane style.
He banes him. Yep.
And in that last second, Magnus calls out to Tiznich and gets his sons and him warped out of there.
Yep.
Because he'd been talking to Tiznich, and he'd been working. He was in a plan to fix the flesh change of his legion.
So he thought.
Because his legion was suffering from mutations, and then right at the last moment, Sinech changed his mind and snapped his fingers, and they all turned to dust in their armor.
It's not so much that he changes his mind. I just don't think they read the fine print. Araman. Or whatever his name is from the 1,000 Sons, the first captain. Armin.
Yeah, Armin.
But
Oh, man.
so that leads to a lifelong rivalry between the Space Wolves and the 1,000 Sons. Not even a rivalry, a fucking Hatfield McCoy blood feud.
Yeah, blood feud.
Fair enough, man. That was kind of, I hate to say this, it's kind of Lehman's fault that he fell to, I mean, he was tricked, but it's kind of his fault that he fell to chaos.
So I feel like as if I were Leman and I get an order to arrest my brother, I know that Horus is the War Master and all that, but I'm not just going to take his word for it that Dad changed his mind. I'm going to be like, hey, Dad.
Yeah. Why couldn't he try to send a message back?
He just-
Like, was there a rush? I don't know
Well, they
if
were
there was-
already, they were on their way.
I think he had some prejudice against.
Oh, well, he
magic,
definitely
and
did.
that blinded him.
Oh, that's
I-
fair because
His
he's
hatred
all
of
about-
magic
Yeah.
just pushed him to it.
Yeah,
he was like, all right, yeah, no, okay. if they've
it
gotta
gave him
die.
permission to do what he wanted to do anyway.
Damn, Leman, damn. Such a human Primarch, but I love him so.
Yeah, I will say that one thing you get from reading his books is just how lenient he is compared to the other Primarchs.
Oh yeah,
With both his sons and just regular humans.
yeah. One of the things I just love about his character is in the book they talk about how like his Space Marines, they can talk to him frankly.
However they want.
However
really.
they want. And it's like sometimes it might earn him a broken jaw, but the bad blood will be over by the time the jaw heals, which,
is pretty quick.
Just
But I love
touching on him some more. I want to go, but he has thrice blessed power armor.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
He's got a chain sword called Mjolnir, I believe.
Mjolnir.
Yeah.
And it's made from Kraken teeth.
Yep, the blades
Okay.
the blades of it are made from the teeth of the
Yeah,
Kraken.
it said it
Ooh.
could split a mountain, a Fenrisian mountain.
Cool.
And then he was given a spear by the Emperor.
The Dionysian spear,
Yes. Or
Okay.
the spear of Leman Russ.
Spear of Leman
and he
Russ.
actually hated it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, he.
Do we know why?
I think part. So
He could see all the memories and lives of the people he killed with it, I think.
yeah.
Oh, that's this. Okay, I knew there was something special
And
about it. I
if
couldn't
you're
think
stabbed
of-
with it, you also see the truth. You see like your past, your present, and your future.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he also felt like it was a symbol of his status as the Emperor's executioner because it
Ah.
wasn't a weapon he made. It didn't look Fenrisian. It was made out of gold and all this crazy shit.
Right.
And so he felt like it was kind of like a symbol of the office that he never really wanted, but wasn't going to deny.
Yes.
Gotcha. Oh man. Ooh, cool.
So he didn't bust it out until he was ready to go up against Horus.
Yeah. So the heresy's happening. He's getting off Prospero, and he's getting delayed by the Alpha Legion.
Not just delayed, they're in serious. Like the Alpha Legion hand them an ass whooping.
Yeah, the battle of the Alaxes Nebula.
Yeah.
It's a lot of space battles and like keeping them on the run and just scaring the shit out of them.
Right, and the Alpha
Wow.
Legion's like sabotaging their ships and their technology and stuff. And I gotta tell you, fuck Jagged Eye Khan for that one.
Oh, yeah.
What?
He asks him for help, and Jagged
Like
Khan doesn't quite know where everything is going yet.
Yeah, he's like, I can't tell whether you're loyal or whether the Alpha Legion are loyals. Even though Lehman's like, we're getting massacred here. Like, help us. And he's like, I can't tell who's the good guy is. So you guys figure it out. I'm going to Kmart.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He leaves.
Like, fuck you, Jagged Eye. You can't figure out who's loyal between the Wolves and the Alpha Legion. Are you shitting me?
Is he looking for who's loyal, or is he looking for who's going to win the heresy?
Oh.
I'm sorry, but like you have to know that Leman is loyal. Like that's ridiculous, especially compared to Alfarius. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you can't trust Alfarius.
Like even
Alfarius told me so. And I believe him for anything.
yeah, exactly. Like Jagged Eye, I understand that he's like the Primarch that everybody sleeps on, that he's actually really cool and that he's really smart and all this stuff. That was dumb. That was a stupid call.
Oh, unless it's kind of like what Dan suggested, like he's just waiting to see where the tide of war.
I think he loved the Emperor, but he was willing to let Horus take his spot so he could take Horus's spot.
Oh,
See, and kind of my impression of Jagged Eye is that I don't think he liked the Emperor at all. I don't think he really even cared about him. I think he saw that the Emperor was the closest path to freedom that he was able to have.
interesting. Okay.
And I think if he was given, and I haven't done a deep dive on him, but just given some of the stuff that I know about him, it seems like he would more opt for whoever would have left him the fuck alone.
Oh, I see. Okay, he really liked his freedom then.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, he's one of the Primarchs that I don't know a whole lot about.
Right. Okay.
And haven't done much on. But I don't give a shit what it was. Like, fuck you. This is all I'm gonna say. Like, fuck you, Jagged Eye.
Yeah.
It was very clear that Leman is.
I was gonna say, like, how is Leman not gonna be the loyal one?
It's actually funny where their help finally comes from, of all people.
Is it the lion?
It's the Dark Angels. Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, and this is the direct opposite, where it's there's a Primarch I like, but whose personality I hate when it comes to Jagged Eye. Now here's a Primarch who's like stuff I like, but whose personality I
hate.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's the
gosh,
same
he
thing.
is such a snobby fucking prick.
He is.
He
Oh
is.
my god.
Although I have to say, my first impression of him in the book I read, very snooty, like it's super cringe for me. But boy, he kept a secret for Leman that earned my respect
He did.
instantly, and it was without hesitation. It was
Nope.
that whole Wolfen thing.
Yep. So
Yeah.
during the battle where they end up getting into a fight at the end, that's the first time Leman finds out about the Wolfen,
Yeah,
and that's what delays him getting to this guy where the lion
ends up
ends
beating
up
him to the
killing him.
punch. Yeah,
But the enemy actually ends up broadcasting footage of one of the soldiers going Wolfen,
Yeah.
yeah.
which is a huge secret. And the lion, without hesitation, without anything, he's like, shut that shit off right now.
Yeah.
Kill the feed. Nobody sees
Nobody
that.
sees
And he
this
keeps that secret.
And he
forever.
does, and makes that decision instantaneously
Without
So-
hesitation.
So damn it, I think I'm just now stuck with always just a reluctant modicum of respect for this
Well,
guy.
sure. But also, I
Yeah.
would submit this. The only reason why he keeps that secret is because that's all the Dark Angels have are secrets.
It just goes into the book with all the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nevertheless.
No, but I have utmost respect for the lion. He's still a D-bag.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So he's the one that comes in to save the day or help out in.
I can't remember if he's there in person, but at least his
The Dark
okay.
Angels are there
Yeah.
to just
Wow.
and save them from the Alpha Legion.
Boy, they have such a cool relationship.
And that's what keeps Leman and the Wolves from really being at the Siege of Terra.
Yeah, they're delayed until after.
They
Okay.
can't- yeah,
he
they
doesn't
can't
see
make
the Emperor until he's on the golden
Although,
throne.
guess who is at the Siege of Terra?
Who?
Jagged Eye is.
Jagged Eye.
Because he ran like a bitch.
He finally made his mind up.
Oh, that fucker. I can't believe he just left their asses in the wind like that.
Mm.
People love Jagged Eye, and I'm sure I'll like him too when I dive into him. But man, that call pisses me off.
After all this, he goes back to Fenris. Leman
Yep.
Yeah.
has a great feast with
Yeah.
all of his men, and then he gives this big speech.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's where
and
his last words are.
well, he was absolutely wrecked by the fact that this had happened to the Emperor and he wasn't there. I
Yeah.
mean, this was a fallout for all of them that weren't there.
Yeah.
And what's kind of ironic about it is that the person that I think takes it the hardest, which is Rogal Dorn,
Hmm.
he was there.
Right.
He carried the Emperor. right?
Yeah, he carried him from Horus's flagship back to the Golden Throne. Like,
Jeez. Wow.
he was there. But
Yeah.
it just goes to show, like, when tragedy strikes, it really doesn't matter where you're standing. If it strikes, then it hurts.
Yeah. And
Doesn't matter
You're
if you're
always
there
gonna
to
think
try to
about-
prevent it or
Yeah.
not.
you're always going to think about like what you could have done different,
Yep.
no matter what it is.
And
that-
so Russ
yeah.
had this weighing on his mind. Go ahead, Dan. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, I don't know the exact quotes. I'm not going to read that out.
Right.
That's when he gives his, like, I will be there for you in the wolf time, the end of all things, so on and so
Yeah, he
forth.
promises he'll be
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
And at this event is the Dreadnought we were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah, Bjorn.
Bjorn the
Bjorn,
Fell-Handed.
So they wake him up every 1,000 years to tell the story.
And Leman packs up and he takes Garrity and Freki and his bodyguards, the Einherjar,
Oh yep.
and heads into the Eye of Terror.
And has yet to be seen since.
Yeah, never to be seen again.
He's looking for something called the Tree of Life.
Oh, it really? Oh, neat.
And
Cool.
a lot of people speculate that he's trying to bring the Emperor back.
In some way through the Tree of Life.
Yep.
Cool. Oh wow.
Now, I
Very
don't
Norse.
I don't know if I'm going to go into what he's doing in the warp.
Go ahead. By all means.
Well, he found a like a warp entity that is worshipped on Fenris.
Okay.
He's called the Earl King,
Oh, I'm so glad you're bringing him up.
and he challenges Leman to 4 challenges. I'm not sure what all of them are. right
I
off
have
the top of
them
my head.
actually. If you
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
because this was something I was going to bring up in my comparisons. So I'll go through the challenges. So the first challenge is drink. Leman must drink the damned soul Amarok.
It's a basin. It's the soul of Amarok. It's like a cup, and he's supposed to drain it.
And he's supposed to drain it, and he's not able to pass that test. Next, he is to wrestle an old crone.
Yeah, he wrestles an old woman,
Mhm.
loses that too.
Also loses.
In very mirror of his challenges for the Emperor.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That was something else I noticed too, was the challenges in the Emperors too. Then the third challenge is to move the Elk King's sleeping wolf.
He loses all of the challenges up till this last one.
Yep. The fourth challenge is that Leman must explain the the three other challenges. And what he finds is and Leman understands them, I guess. So, the first challenge was, it represented, so this is the bowl that he had to drink. It represented the changing seasons on Fenris. The second one, wrestling the old crone, represented the inevitability of old age.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moving the sleeping wolf represented the inescapability of death. And so Russ understood this and was able to
pass that challenge, because he
fourth
only
challenge.
had to get 1 out of 4.
And you know what's cool is that Russ couldn't do it through physical might, which is what all of his brothers and everybody would assume. He actually had to do it through his intellect and philosophy.
Yeah, he had to. He's a very clever guy. For what he puts on that air of being a savage, but he's quite intelligent, especially when it comes to tactics and understanding people.
Well, like I said, he had to use philosophy there.
Right. Yeah.
Clearly,
in order to understand.
Clearly well read.
Yeah. The Earl King's kind of cool. I didn't know about him as a deity before today.
I think that's kind of off the Elf King.
Yeah.
Or the Earl Koenig. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There is an existing figure in mythology called the Earl King, and but I don't know much about him per se.
There's a German poem, like an epic poem about a guy racing home to get his son to a doctor. And the kid's like, "Hey, I see the Elf King in the woods." And he's like, "No, don't go to the Elf King, son.
Stay away from the don't look into the Elf King's eyes."
Yeah, don't go. It's dramatic, and the kid dies because it's German.
Right.
And I bet the Elf King drives a panel van. Don't go to him, little Johnny, but I like the music. No!
I'm trying to think of I'm looking at some of his gear. He has the Axe of Hellwinter. It's his favorite axe.
Oh, cool.
Hellwinter.
Something called the Scorn Spitter. It's simply it's a bolter that was tuned by Vulcan.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
the salamanders always make the best weapons and armor.
Oh, cool. All right.
Then he had Mjolnir, Mjalnar, the Sword of Bale Knight. It's got a high Terran, high Gothic name. It's a power sword of unknown origin.
Unknown origin. Interesting. Huh.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And then the armor of Elavagar, Elavagar. It's his unique artificer armor. Apparently he could it could pull in heat, and he could release like a cold blast, and that's how it got the name.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it's a killing wave of frost.
Killing wave of frost.
Also, I think he was a bit of a psyker. I don't think he knew it, and I don't think he could do it consciously. But in one of the books, he's basically walking towards a dreadnought. It's an enemy thing, but it's basically a dreadnought.
Of that same level, it seems.
Yeah, and while it's like shooting at him, he's blocking everything with his sword, and then he just kind of tanks a hit and just walks right through it. But as he's getting closer to this thing, it actually starts to storm.
In the area that they're
controlling the weather.
And it seems like it builds with him.
Which I think is a really cool parallel, because he's in a lot of ways very much like Thor from mythology.
Yeah. And with that, Eric, why don't...
Ooh, okay, I will.
So wait, where is Russ right now? He's still in the warp, is he not?
Yeah, still looking for the Tree of Life.
Still looking for the Tree of Life. And Games Workshop, rather cheaply, I'll say, released a book called The Wolf Time, which is supposed to was in his grand speech was when he was going to return. And that seems to be a big ado about nothing. Doesn't have any hints or anything to do with Russ himself.
It's a big
so, eat a dick for that one. That was not cool, guys. If you're going to release something that's got the Wolf Time in the title and it's about the Space Wolves, that's going to get people really...
Give us a little touch of Leman or something to hope for.
You can't. Yeah, I'd hint my ass. If you're gonna have him say, "I will return in the Wolf Time," and you release a book and it's called The Wolf Time,
he better return it.
He better return that fucking book.
We want Leman. We want Leman.
But maybe they're setting up for something a little bit sooner. You rat bastards. That was cheap as fuck. Like you didn't. Anyway.
I was gonna say, for people who want to play the tabletop in the games, it's a good color palette. Just a little bit of yellow. You're not painting the whole thing yellow. Just some of the wolves.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I bet they are a pretty easy one to paint.
Yeah.
It's like a storm gunmetal gray.
Yeah.
Ooh, cool.
And a little bit of blue sometimes.
You got to get used to painting fur because they'll wear it on their armor, and you can actually paint wolves and use them in their army. They have Fenrisian Wolves.
And snow and ice effects as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
which
neat.
that's easy enough. I was learning how to do that.
Nice. Ooh, I like that.
And they have some unique dreadnought models. That'll have like wolf skulls or like just different patterns on them beyond the normal.
I do love their aesthetic so much.
Yeah, they are. They are one of the. It's almost like primitive.
Yeah, it has it's reminiscent of like
a lot of bones and teeth and furs and
old savage warriors.
And the metalwork does tend to have like runic knots or just like cross weaving patterns.
Yeah, it's very Nordic looking,
right?
As far as their details.
Yeah.
But anyway, Eric, why don't you? We always tend to close these things out with a comparison.
Yep.
And this one, boy howdy, was easy fucking enough.
I know.
So why don't you take us into it?
Not a lot of stretching is going to happen here, as I usually do. And this time I'm not comparing it to Lord of the Rings. But
right.
My other love, mythology, and particularly Norse mythology. I adore it. It's so much fun. So, as I kind of said earlier, Leman's he's essentially Thor in the 40K universe.
Right.
He is. Now, I will say he's smarter than Thor. I will say, as far as
side effect of being a Primarch.
Right. Yeah. So
they even refer to the Emperor as Allfather.
They do, which is why it makes a lot of sense. Now, I do have a question. When the Emperor first appears to Leman, is he in disguise?
He is, yeah. When it's not until the fight where he goes full gold armor, power fist, good night.
Okay, that makes sense. So there's a little bit of parallel there too, to kind of tie the Emperor to the Allfather, because he would show up in disguise and then challenge people and then reveal himself. You know what I mean? So and then he.
Oh, was Odin the old lady in Sleeping Beauty? That'd be a bitch.
To be determined, I think.
It's like he revealed himself to be a princess, and then he revealed himself to be a one-eyed god. Like, holy shit. Anyway.
And even the spear that he gives to Leman, Odin carried a spear, and I can't remember the proper pronunciation, so at this time I'm not going to attempt it.
You're not even going to attempt it.
I will not. I don't want to do that. But there's another cool weapon parallel, which is, of course, in Leman's sword, Mjolnir.
Which is, of course,
direct parallel
Thor's
to
hammer.
Mjolnir. Yep, Thor's hammer. Now, I'm really excited that you brought up the Earl King earlier, because that's what I'm going to really dig into, and how obviously, I should say, Thor is related to Leman, or vice versa, I should say. So, in Norse mythology, Thor journeys into Jotunheim. And he and his little party, including like Loki and whoever, like, I don't know if Leman really had any companions when he went to go talk to
left
Daryl.
with some, but who knows at this point.
Yeah, he took Gary and Frecky and his Einarjar.
Okay. And so Thor had Loki and like a human kid who's some renowned hero, I think. I probably have his name written down. But anyway, Thor gets I don't. Thor runs into this guy called Utgard Loki, who's kind of like Loki of the giants, right? He's basically a trickster giant.
Oh, shit. That would suck.
Yeah. And
double whammy.
Yeah. So they have some adventures that lead them to Utgard Loki's castle, hall, home. And they're challenged. Loki's got to face some challenges. The human has to face some challenges. No one's doing so hot. Then it's Thor's turn. And Thor takes on a few different challenges. And the first one is he must win a drinking contest. Yep. And it's a great big drinking horn that he has to drain. And he just can't finish it. Can't even barely put a dent in it. Next comes a wrestling match with, guess what? An old woman. And Thor is unable to out-wrestle this old woman. His last challenge is to lift up Utgard Loki's cat. Not wolf, but cat, which Thor, try as he might, can't get this cat up off the ground. And this is where it really shows where Leman is more intelligent than Thor, at least as far as the depiction in the stories, because Leman is the one who figures out what the challenges meant. Thor must have it explained to him. And it is revealed that for the drinking contest, Thor was actually drinking from the ocean, which was too vast for even this god to drink. But it scared them because he was able to create a little bit of a dip, which is what created the tides in the ocean. And so thank you, Thor, for the tides. The old woman that Thor wrestled was old age, which no man can best. So there you have it. And then
he wasn't able to put a dent in that one.
No, he wasn't.
Red-headed motherfucker.
And then the third challenge of lifting the cat, he was actually lifting a disguised Midgard serpent, which is why he couldn't get him up off the ground, because the serpent wraps around the whole world.
Earth. Right.
So that was a pretty neat little parallel that they
just a small one.
Yeah, just a small one. Little hints there, right?
Oh, and also in the books, they describe Leman as having red hair or blonde hair.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Which is Thorish.
Yeah. Because he does have like red hair.
Or blonde hair, depending on what the depiction is, but originally red hair.
So, and I'm sure that there's all sorts of other parallels that I can't really think of now.
I mean, I'm sure if you were to get a gander at some of the names of like his ships and stuff, you would.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
that's
you
a good
would
point.
recognize them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was fun. Thank you for setting up the Earl King for me. That was a cool, neat. There we go. I was afraid to have to explain that one because I didn't know enough about the Earl King himself. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. So there you go. A non-Lord of the Rings comparison for you folks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a tank named after him.
The Leman Russ
the
auxiliary
Leman Russ tank. Yes.
The Leman Russ auxiliary tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to come in with all my notes are about the tank. But
oh my gosh. Leman Russ has a 25 millimeter cannon. He proceeds to be like, what?
runs on standard Imperial. I don't know what their fuel source is. Probably.
Oh, that's a good question. God, that was funny though.
Probably a big power pack.
I wouldn't even begin to guess. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this first episode with Leman Russ. Once again, every single one of these, even though we take it up to them going missing, there's always more. And if there's a later development, should one of them show up, especially, there will be a part 2 and a part 3 as required.
Yep. Carry on from there.
So what is our next chapter going to be? What?
We know this.
We do know this.
We know this.
We do know this. We're trying to get a preview. We fucked up the preview. Eric, help me unfuck this preview.
I have notes. We have...
Is it...
Homunculus.
All right.
Dark Eldar.
So the next So stay tuned for the next volume, which will be maybe the finishing up of the Eldar timeline. We'll see where we land.
It's possible. Yes.
Possible, but not for certain.
There may be a book 3.
There may be a short volume 3.
Yeah.
But the next chapter will be the Dark Eldar and the Homunculus. So we're going to get a little on the grim dark side this time.
Oh, yeah. A little. More than usual.
More than usual. Yeah. What, Dan? You look contemplative.
Harlequin joke.
Harlequin joke.
Rainbows, unicorns, going out. Goodbye.
This is Dan. Thank you for listening.
Right, guys. This is Ben.
And Eric.
Thanks for joining us on Call to Lore. And check us out. We're on YouTube. By now, we're probably everywhere.
Yep. Like Spotify and Audible and...
We're everywhere else the rest of us are found.
Yeah. Everywhere that you can find Cult of Campbell and Cult Talks Weird Shit, you'll be able to find the Cult of Lore.
Right. And also, guys, reach out to us. You notice that we do these quotes at the beginning of every episode.
Yes.
Is there a 40K quote that you'd like us to bring to life or try to bring to life?
Yeah.
Let us know.
We will take suggestions.
Oh, hell yeah. We love
for the hell of it.
Yeah, just for the fun of it. We love doing them, and we have no shortage of volunteers. And also, don't just tell us what scene you'd like us to do. Tell us how you'd like it to do us. We do these one of two ways. Either we try to recreate the scene itself, as we did with Conrad Kurz, him talking to the woman in her apartment, or we take the quote and try to kind of just sum it up and provide our own flavor while giving the context.
Yeah.
Or providing more of the flavor of the text rather than the context itself is what I meant to say.
So
tell us what quote you would like us to cover, and also tell us how you would like us to cover, whether you'd like us to try to make it not comic accurate, good lord, whether you'd like to make it lore accurate or whether you'd like us to try to put our own spin on it.
Yeah. And we have fun with it either way.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We are excluding Primarchs, though. Get fucked.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Take your Primarch suggestions, cram them all the way up your ass. We're not taking them. That's because what we want for those is every Primarch to have their own individual voice.
Yep.
That is not like the person who does the Primarch voice may do voices for other things, but they will not be doing another Primarch voice.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that we have particular people picked for the Primarchs. So we will not be accepting Primarch quotes, but other than that, have at it. Let us know.
Absolutely. And there you have it.
And there you have it. So that's our third ending. That's because we're in Ohio and we do Midwestern goodbyes.
Yay!
But with that, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.